Hello, everybody. This is CB Smallwood, and you're watching 100 Days of Making Comics, where for whenever I can, I'll be uploading a video showing me writing, drawing, inking, lettering, coloring, doing something to further my goals to become a comic book artist, get a good portfolio together, and hopefully get done with my comic book, with 100 days or something like that, or 100 uploads. We'll just do it that way, okay? Um, but for those that are already familiar with the challenge, I've broken all the rules of God and man when it comes to doing my uploads consistently and all this other stuff. But for me, where it's a more of a personal challenge than anything, to me anyway. And so I feel the need to kind of adjust things and then just kind of play things by ear and you know what I mean, that sort of thing. So I kind of cheat and I just do what I want. The main thing is I just want to get in a good rhythm to constantly be drawing and working on stuff and things like that, because that's part of what it takes, in my opinion, to become a comic book artist. You have to make drawing and creating comics a habit. It has to be a daily venture as much as you can. And it's not always been that, I'll admit, but here we are. Also, as we're a minute into this video, you notice that you see an image that, well, this is Ghost Rider, unfinished piece that I had been working on, and mainly I just kind of jerked this out because I've got a lot of new subscribers and followers and stuff like that, and I think it's important that they kind of see that, yeah, I can draw. I just sort of, because a lot of my rough sketches really, I don't think really showcase really well what it is that I'm capable of. And I guess in a way this doesn't either, because it's unfinished, and so that doesn't reflect good on me, but whatever. With this aside, let's move this out of the way and let's quickly move over to what I actually do want to show you. Is this. Now, we've already seen these pages if you've seen the last couple of videos and stuff like that. And I'm currently got roughly penciled 19 pages on the big, 11 by 17 paper. And so the big hang up on the last couple of pages is, how to wrap the story up in the first issue. And as I work on this comic, I find that I'm getting better as a writer with having a beginning of a story, a middle, and an end. And that's something I've always struggled with when it comes to comics, is having a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I've never really found a writer in comics who explains their method for doing a single issue or a self-contained story or anything like that. And it's always easier, in my opinion, to take a already existing character and kind of just have a beginning, a middle, and end, because you can base whatever happened from last issue and carry that over to the current issue and start from that starting point and so forth and so on. So it has a logical progression, and I think it's pretty easier to do that way. But anyway, all I'm trying to say is I think I've gotten better as a writer. I've worked on one other comic besides this one, writing wise, and that's with something I did with Will Avenger, and hopefully we'll get that wrapped up soon. I think I'm going to give it a rough estimate for Will Avenger's comic. It'll be about 6 months before that sees the light of day. As it gets finished coloring and we got to figure out what to do about the lettering and stuff like that. But that's going to be a good book once everybody reads it, I think, in my opinion. So we're talking about my book today, and this book is Wildcat. Here is what's going to be page 20. You've all seen page 20, and this is basically the interior scene of a doctor's office, and we're seeing like a corrupt local doctor in small town politics, doing his thing, and he's talking with one of the goons that survived the attack against Wildcat and that sort of thing, and it ends on a not a cliffhanger, but kind of a little bit of foreshadowing, of things to come and hints at it and stuff like that. So a lot of small town politics that will impact the Fox girl, okay, which by proxy will impact Wildcat. Here on this page, which again you've seen this in the last episode, I believe. We catch back up with Wildcat in the house asleep, and I got the Z's here showing that. Here his eyes closed, and something has pried his eyes open from the inside. Now I could add an extra panel where you see these little hook things, these little whatever. I thought about the extra panel would not have, like this panel would not have those things. You would just see that, right? And then the next panel would be what you see there. And then the third panel would be the eye opening. So you would actually get a sense that something from the inside is taking its hooks and then lifting the eyelid up. But for sorriness sakes and for expediency, I might not do that. So anyway, something opens his eye, pops it open, and then something comes out of his eye. And lo and behold, it's his eyeball, and then there's an empty eye socket. Now, I thought that realistically, I suppose his eyelid would probably fall over the hole. But for the sake of making it clear that it's an eyeball that just came out of his eye socket, I thought about just leaving it kind of hollow and empty so that there'd be no confusion of what's going on there. And of course, I still got the Z's showing that he's asleep and unaware of what's going on. And here the eyeball is crawling up the window, sunshine outside and stuff. And here is like this laser beam blast coming from the eye that's going up to the sky. And I decided to get rid of these bottom three panels that were not going to be itty bitty. I was going to measure them all out. Again, these are rough sketches, so I allow myself a lot of freedom to do whatever because I know what they're going to look like when it's finished. So now this page is extremely tentative in the way that it's laid out, but basically you see the beam that the eye shot out, and here the beam hits this humanoid figure that's floating in space, and then here's the outline of the humanoid figure, and then the sound like brrrr. And it's not so much a monster sound. I thought more of like a mechanical, kind of like a powering up sound. And so there's that. And here you see the eyeball crawling back down from the Windows ledge, crawling back to the eye socket, and you actually see it set back into the eye socket. And what I thought about doing different on this page, possibly, I don't know, is having this be the top panel, which it already is, moving these two panels up, moving these bottom three panels down. And I thought that would be an interesting way to do that. But then again, this layout works too. It's I could write it as describing what's happening, which is kind of lame because you can see what's going on. But I could put here, it's like, after the beam travels for several minutes at light speed or something, going through the depths of space, it eventually hits its intended target. Awakening, the lone blah, 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 So that would explain why you don't see it immediately going from here to here and here, The scene in between here could kind of show that it's taking a little bit of time for that beam of light to actually hit the object because it's kind of far out into our solar system. Now, from that page, we get to more character development and getting to know the characters better, and finally actually getting some more insight into the Wildcat character himself. So, what I did here is I've got three of them at the dinner table in the kitchen, and they're just sitting there and conversing. And I haven't really thought it well out because I'm not really too concerned with the script aspect of the story just yet. I really need to get the pencils done, and I can go back and look at the pictures and kind of get a gist of what everybody's trying to say, communicate. I got a rough idea of things that I want to do, but I haven't got all the particulars figured out yet. But it doesn't take me long to kind of come up with a good script for things, because once you get the ball rolling, it kind of flows on its own, I think, in my opinion, at least for me. So they're in the kitchen and they're sitting here and eating, and the idea is the two of them are talking, and they're talking about how, the big guy, Wildcat, they don't know his name, they don't know nothing about him, he's not said anything yet. And then here, I guess in this panel, possibly, is when he may say something for the first time or something. Now, note the expressions are very tentative on the faces because I don't even have expressions on faces here. So everything's extremely tentative, okay? But he reveals that, yeah, he can talk and blah, 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 blah. And he's being asked questions now about who he is, where he's from, what he's about, and stuff like that. And there's a bit of back and forth. This is actually 3 panels. I know this looks like the same scene, but this is supposed to be a 3rd panel. And I really don't care too much about whether the scribbles are legible because I know what they mean in my head. I can make them look, cool or semi-cool when I get to the big 11 by 17 paper. So there's that going on, and this is supposed to be page 24. This is page 24 right here. So with page 24, what we get is here's Wildcat. He's still eating, and these scribbles are terrible. And he's eating whatever, I could change that bowl to a plate or whatever, it doesn't matter. And he's talking a little bit and he's being asked questions. Here's the friend of the girl, he's asking him questions and blah blah blah. And I decided to have her kind of have a thinking thing where she's giving thought to what he's saying. So she's putting her hand to her face and that sort of thing. The head angles are extremely tentative. I'll probably end up going something with this because I kind of like the feel of this overall. Because at some point I want Wildcat to reveal that he doesn't know who he is, what his name is, or where he's from, or anything like that, or much of anything. Okay, and so thinking about it, and this guy's going to say something kind of offhand, maybe witty or whatever, and probably more than likely a lot of foreshadowing that will carry over whatever he's saying here will actually carry over to this panel and maybe this panel, and it's just like it's stuff that I think writers like Peter David does, where they let the conversation of a certain character actually flow over to a different scene because it sets up something that's going to happen later, based off what they kind of say. Sometimes it's a bit of irony, a bit of this or that. So anyway, whatever was in space floating, it's now making its way toward Earth at a very quickened pace. And I did a city outline. Now, this is actually supposed to be a small town, and I didn't want to waste time looking up references for like a really crappy sketch anyway. So I just put a city outline to let myself know that I need to put like a countrified downtown or a small town downtown kind of scenery where it shows the object, the humanoid in space crashing into the town. And that's how I'm thinking about ending this comic. Leaving it on, well, it's not, I don't know if you call it quite a cliffhanger, but there it is. Honestly, I want to do one more page. I want to do like a 25th page where I can actually show some cooler stuff with what's going on with the bottom scene, you know, like some people running out of the way or something, and then you have like this lone humanoid superpowered figure like, where is Wildcat? Where is he? You know, and all this other stuff and really cool poses. But I thought, well, I don't know. It's just, I feel like it's time to wrap it up. I'd like to know what some of you all think about kind of like the overall layouts of everything that I've got here and stuff. And it's pretty much time to go. I'm sorry that this is a long video, but I have plenty to say. But a few things. Okay, this will be video 91, I think. I'm almost done with this, you know, 100 days making comics, or in my case, 100 uploads of making comics. And I think when I get closer to 100 uploads, I'm gonna go back to doing better thumbnails, because I think I should wrap things up with a bang. And I may actually do a little bit of planning for the 100th episode and make it something cool, and maybe do, you know, take my time and actually edit it and make it a little worthwhile. I don't know, and because I'd really like to thank a lot of people here on YouTube and on VidMe and stuff like that. That's been really cool to me, and taking the time to watch my stuff, and so I like to do something with that, and just make a really good 100th video. You know, that's my goal. And also, I'm going to announce a idea that I got for where I'm going to go after this. And I think it's a pretty cool idea, and so I'll wait and I'll share that idea of where I'm going to go with the Wildcat and all this other stuff in the 100th issue. What the idea is and stuff. Okay. Well, I guess that's it. I'm going to try to end this before it gets to 19 minutes, but I appreciate everybody watching this video. If you like this content or appreciate it or just want to support me, please remember to give this video a nice thumbs up or upvote or whatever, because the more of these bad boys I get, you know, the more it helps get my videos seen. Now, if you really enjoy my content and you want to keep up to date to all the latest stuff that I got coming out with and all this other stuff, please remember to follow and subscribe to be kept up to date with that. As always, I am CB Smallwood, and you've been watching 100 Days of Making Comics, and I will see you in the next video.